Hi, welcome to another session for Selenium WebDriver. And today we're going to learn about a different type of methods we use in a WebDriver. So far, we are always using findElement, right? By.findElement, but I don't know whether you realized it or not. The moment you use dot and start typing find, you will see two different methods with a similar name. One is findElement and another is findElements. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, and by name, now you would have understood what basically those two methods are meant for. The first element, the first findElement method, which we are using so far, is basically uh, assuming that whatever XPath you are writing or whatever locator mechanism you are writing will give me only one element, right? So the intention of that method is to locate only one element. So within that current page, it will try to find out only one element and it will return basically that one single web element. Okay, so this single web element will be returned by this method. It is always looking for a singular element. If it finds multiple, then it will throw an error, right? So this is the syntax we were using so far: find element, and then whatever locator mechanism you are giving in between, it will try to see that the result of this is only one element. Whereas findElements, it is basically used when we want to capture a lot of elements within a node, or when there are a lot of elements we want to capture, or we want to understand that this tag contains how many child elements, something like that, right? So in those scenario, we use findElements. So findElements is another method, and now here what it's going to give, it's going to give you the list of element under that, okay, or all the matching elements with that locator mechanism. So whatever locator mechanism you are writing is not going to change. So either you can use by.id, you can use by.xpath, or partial link text, or whatever we have learned so far, right? So you can use any of those. And if because of that locator mechanism, if the WebDriver realizes there are more than one element, then it will return you all of them. Whereas here, I think I wrongly said that it's going to throw an error, but it's not going to throw error. It will basically return you the first element it finds, right? Yeah, it's going to return you the 0th index, or the first element it finds based on that technique. Even if there are more than one, it's not gonna tell you that there are more than one. It will straight away send you the first element it finds with that particular matching locator technique, right? So we're gonna do some practice on findElements today, and we're gonna see what's the difference between them. So so quick difference between findElement and findElements. These are basically interview questions. People will ask you that, can you please tell me the difference? And it's straightforward. There is nothing much. So basically, this is returns the first more the web element it finds in a multiple web element structure, whereas this returns the list of web elements. Okay, and then if it doesn't find any matching element with the locator technique you mentioned, it's gonna say no such element found. It's gonna throw you an exception. Whereas here, it's gonna give you the empty list, right? It's gonna give you the empty list saying like no element. You will have to basically see the list size. That's the way. So basically, if the list size is 0, which means the findElements method didn't find any matching element based on the locator technique we have defined, right? So that's the difference you need to understand. Here you're gonna get the exception. Basically, when you get an exception, what do you do? Generally, you try to catch it, right? Or you try to throw it. But whereas here, you're gonna use the list.size method. Basically, we're gonna see that today, that how we're gonna use the size method to understand how many elements we have captured. If the size is 0, then that indicates that there is no element found with a matching locator technique. It will only give you one web element, as I said. Even if it finds more than one, it's gonna straight away give you the first it finds. It will find the collection of elements and then it will return you the list. So list is a Java concept. Again, you need to go through and refresh it once. Okay, so what is a list? Basically, in a simple language, I'll say that when you want to give more than one data of a same data type, let's say, right? So then you can define it in a list. So it's a collection basically. It's a part of a collection framework in a Java. So you can just go through quickly what is a list in Java, and then you will understand. Yeah, so because it has more than one element, we are saying it's going to give you the element based on their indexes, right? Element at index 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Whereas here it's not applicable because it will always return you the one element, right? Okay, so let me jump back. So I'm gonna write one more class just for this and all the new methods we're gonna learn today. So new class, and I'll see WebDriver findElements, and then we need main method. Okay, and then let me copy paste basically to invoke a browser and go to so let's go to the same Selenium website and see if we have any. So this is, I'm not going to explain you all these things, this is self-explanatory now. Okay, let me quickly run this and it's going to invoke the Salesforce website, and there we will see how we can or what we can use for the findElements. And yeah, one more thing you need to understand. So if you want to capture them, you have to use a list. Basically, web element is the class. Okay. So we are implementing the list and we are saying that I want to capture everything in this list. So I'll show you how exactly we write this. Okay. For both for single instance and for two instances. Okay. So now let me try to, so let's try to see this product solution support and all these things. You remember last time, I think they have some similarity, right? Probably the class one. Yeah, so if you see this navigate item, no, this class, yeah, class has children icon. Probably if we try this, copy, probably we'll get more than one. Okay, so let me, I'm just copying this class. So if I try to inspect this one, yeah, this is also having, see this same class, right? So let's try to do something. So as usual, driver dot, now here we use find. Now you see the second one we'll use, right? Find elements. And now here in double quotes, we're gonna give by dot, my bad, by dot class name, and this is the class name I'm giving, right? And now so far what we were doing, we were performing some action on whatever elements matches with this, right? Either dot click or dot set text or dot get attribute or get text or clear. But now we don't want to perform any action, but what we want to do is whatever this particular method is going to return, we're going to capture that and store it in a variable, and that variable I'm saying is a list variable. Okay, so here I'm saying elements, I'm just giving any random name equal to. Now if you see if you hover your mouse on it, it will say import list. There are two things you get, right? So import list util, and now here you see that this is the particular list element where all your matching elements will get stored. So let me quickly do one thing for you, and if I want to see how many I have received, so what I'll do, I'll quickly print it here. I'll say list of elements returned equal to, and then control space to, sorry, let me directly grab this, and then we'll use size method. Okay, and then save it. Now you see that you get an error here. Why? So what you need to do here is you need to basically say this is a web element. Okay, and then here also you will get a error. So hover your mouse and then import it. Okay, now once we import this, okay, so now now what is the issue now here? Now again I need to remove the, sorry, I just need to use concatenate. Yeah, cool. So now this works. So now now what we're gonna do is we'll run this and we'll see if with that matching class name there are more than one element. If there is nothing, then probably we'll not get an exception, we'll get a size 0, right? Let me run this. This is very important because sometimes when you will work with the nested structures, you will end up using findElements just to check how many children's or how many matching elements that page has. Yeah, I think it should have done by now. Let me go and check console. Yeah, see, 26. Right? So what does it mean? That particular child name, sorry, the class name is on 26 elements, right? Now if you want to do some more things with that, so what we're gonna do, so let's say again we'll try to do an individual capture. Okay, so again I'm saying element okay, element, and then I'll say e1 equal to, so what I'm trying to capture it one by one. Okay, so how we'll get it, we'll just try to explore dot. The moment you get it dot get, you see the first method dot get. So I'm saying, okay, let me try with the 0th index. What is the first element I get, right? And I'm gonna store it in this. And then if I wanna, just because I wanna see that on screen, I'm printing it, correct? So let's see how does it look like. I'm just printing it straight away without any message. Okay, I'm straight away printing it. So let's run this now. Okay, so now now here you see list of element, it printed it, but now the first element it found with 0th index is something like this: Firefox driver, Firefox on Mac, something class name, and it it is whatever it is. It looks weird, but yeah, this is what it returned. Now if I want to print all of them, so what I'll do, definitely I'll not use dot get 1 2 3 4 till 26, right? I'll use a for loop, right? So for loop int I equal to 0, and I have to iterate I less than how much, elements dot size, right? Whatever its size is, based on that, and then increment in every iteration. And this is where the for loop starts. So what I'll do is I'll cut this and I'll put it inside this, right? This simple for loop. So the first one is the initialization, the next is the condition, and then the last is your iteration. This is the three things you need to mention in a for loop. And then here I'll simply say, just let's print it. I'll say iteration, and then just append with I, so that it will say iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, something like this. Okay, so now let's run this and see all the 26 elements it will print now, right?
Yeah, you want to print the bottom one as well, the E1?
Yeah, I think it will print everything. Yeah, I'll clean the console, and now let me run this code. The same thing when you write this particular XPath in your Chrome, when you're trying to find out how many matching elements you get, that, right? You see 0, 1 of 26, 1 of 23, right? That's what you will see it here. Oh, looks like, it has kind of a, yeah, kind of a similar maybe. Yeah, but it is trying to print everything here. Let's try something else. But you understood what's the intention behind this, right?
Yeah.
So findElements is basically a method we need to use when we are interested to find all or more than one elements from that particular page. So let's try this first name. So let me say inspect path. Okay, input, it has ID. Okay, it has a name, and okay, doesn't have class. Okay, type equal to text, right? So we can try this. We can try this.
I think that repeats.
Yeah. Okay, but then it will return you this particular element, right? this particular element. So let's try that. Definitely I can't try that with dot class name. So what I'll do, can you suggest?
Type, right?
No, we don't have any by dot type, right? We don't have any method. No, that's not a name attribute, right? So we have to use XPath.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, because that's a type equal to text. So type is our attribute, right? Type is our attribute and text is a value of it. So definitely I'll have to write our XPath, correct? So // so if I want to give a tag, if I don't want to give a tag, then I'll give star, right? And in double quotes I'll give attribute text equal to, in single quote I'll give a value, correct? Yeah, so this is how it's gonna take. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now everything remains same. I no need to change any of these, right? Whatever number of elements it finds, it's gonna loop all of them. Let's run this now. If our XPath is correct, then it will work. Otherwise, it's gonna throw an error. Let's see. Okay, so it's doing its job. Let me go here. Let me make it full screen. Oh, list of element return equal to 0. What does it mean? This means our XPath is not correct. You know, this XPath, whatever we have written, is not correct. Which means it is not able to find based on the XPath we have provided. So let me type like this, right? Tag name, input is the tag name @attribute equal to value. Let's try this one, if this works. Because you remember I was saying that it will not throw an exception. It will return 0. If it is not able to find, I think that's a good example we covered. If it is not able to find, it will give you 0. So basically when you get a size dot 0, then you have to say, see again it is getting 0. So that's something which is not working for us. Let me try something else. Okay, let me go back quick. So this is the one which we were using it, right? Tag name @attribute equal to value. But that doesn't, first we tried with this, right? Without tag name, and we tried with this. So this one also seems to be not working. So what we'll try to use username. Let's see, ID. Anyway, ID is anyway only one. I wanted to use something which will have more than one. Let's see, job title. Let's see this element. Okay. Anyway, let me try to use by dot name. Anyway, this will return you only one, so no need to even run that code. But yeah, the whole intention here is whenever you have more than one element, when you want to capture it, just use the list, okay? And then make sure that you understand first the size. So here, instead of even saying go inside the for loop, here it will not even go because the size itself is 0. So 0 is not less than 0, so it will not even execute this. Or here you are coming to know that there is no such element form. Okay, so this is a famous interview question. Most of the time, interviewer will ask the difference, and it will tell in what scenarios you will be using it. So why do we need to use it, or in what scenario you will use it? Okay. And you can also use dot get that particular element and dot attribute of that. You remember in a previous session, in a last session, we understood about dot get attribute and dot get text, correct? So this particular output is nothing but your element, and on that element you can use all the methods we were discussing so far, like dot get attribute, and in that dot get attribute you have to mention the attribute, right? Which attribute you would like to capture, and then it will give you the value of that attribute. Based on that, you can also perform the operations, and then you can also use get text. Okay, so next, this is a very important topic, and another different type of selector or different type of element, how do we deal with it in a WebDriver? This is a drop down. Okay, so usage of the select class. Select is a class in a WebDriver, and we specifically use that for handling the drop downs. Now today we're gonna see how do we handle it. So there is a couple of things you need to remember here. First is how to create an object of a class. It's pretty easy, right? So we are creating an object of a select class, but before we create object of a select class, we are trying to capture that drop down. So in just now we have seen an example. If you want to capture an element, right, we create an object of a web element class, we store that object or store that element, right, and then we pass that element to the select. So let me walk you through the exact example, and then you will understand. So far this is good. So again, I'll create another class to understand, because we'll have a couple of things in drop down. So here I'll say drop downs. Okay, then as usual I'll copy. We'll change the URL this time because we need some drop down. Let's see, in that website we have a drop downs. Okay, so let's go here. So basically all the drop downs on your pages will be either included in a select tag. Okay, I have an example for you. Let me show you an example. So I was on this particular W3 schools, which I was recommending you, right, to do the practice for an HTML. So if you see this W3 schools, if you want to add a drop down on your page, basically you add the select tag. Okay, you add a select tag, and inside the select tag as a child element, you need to mention the option tags. So if you see, that will result in this drop down. If I want to add one more value in a drop down, I'll simply add uh, one more option tag, and here I'll say Saurabh, right? And then when I'll run it, so basically now this will have one more drop down as Saurabh, correct? So everything will be inside or embedded in a select tag. Now same thing we need to do in a WebDriver. First what we will do is, first we'll try to identify a select tag. So let's say the cursor came here, right? First we'll try to identify a select tag, and once we identify a select tag, there are some more methods in a select class which we will explore to select these values or deselect these values. Okay, because you may have one or multiple values and they can be in any order. Okay, so it's not necessary that all the time you will have Volvo at the top. Sometimes it may be possible Volvo may be at the bottom, right? Or anything else, or sometimes it may possible that values are dynamic, like like available seats, based on available seats or based on available items, the drop down values will differ. So you need to understand what all the different methods available for me to decide what value I have to select. So let's figure it out that. So let's go back to our here. I don't think we have a drop down. Oh, we have this. Nice. Okay, let's do inspect element. I think this is a nice page. Yeah, very nice, very nice. So we have a select tag here, you see, right? And if I expand this select tag, fantastic. Now you have all these options, right? You have all these options, and every option will have different value. Now if the first thing is identify this particular element which is of select tag. Now you see it has an ID. I'm not sure whether the ID will be will be yeah, static or dynamic. So let's see some other thing. I think name, we can explore the name option, right? Name looks pretty okay. So let's see. Or let's try with ID if it works. Okay, so now driver dot find element by dot not name, we are trying IO. Let's try with name. I think name looks more genuine to me. Okay, where is the name? Okay, I copied the name. Superb. Okay, so now,
Two underscores.
pardon?
It looks like it has two underscores.
Here, right? Oh, oh yeah. Okay, let's see if this works. Otherwise, it's gonna be learning, right? Either learning or lessons. Okay, so if you identify, you need to capture it and store it in a element. That's what I was saying, right? So web element, right? And I'll say drop down. I'll not say drop down because you will get confused with the, or let me say drop down. That's fine. No, because find element we are using, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are using find element. If you are using find elements, then yes, you can use it because the return type of that method will be list, right? Now you need to import this, import web element. It will import it. So now, and this is also now you selected. So the return of this right side will be stored in this particular drop down object, right? So assume that we identified that particular drop down. Now what next? Now this is a little bit difference. Now here you need to use a select class in a WebDriver and pass the drop down element in the select class. So otherwise I would have straight away asked you, oh, you have an element, then drop down dot, right? And try to select the value from that drop down, right? That doesn't work here like this. So you'll have to create a, let's say select, and now what I'll say here is, let me say drop down underscore one equal to select. This is how you create an object, right? You need to import the select class, just import, and then here this needs a value, so just pass the value. You're passing it from here. Am I creating any? Oh, sorry. silly mistake. Okay, so yeah, this is how you will pass. So that's why I was saying, here I'll say element just to avoid confusion, and then here I'll say drop down. Okay, yeah, so this you need to understand. So first you capture the element, the select element, right? And then you're passing it in a this particular object, and now from here onwards you have this drop down object. Now you have all your drop down values mentioned. Now here you can explore all the different methods. The moment you give drop down dot, then you will get all the options. So if you just type select, now these are the three different values or three different select methods available for you, based on which you can select the values inside those drop down. So first we'll try to explore select by index. Okay, select by index. Or if you just want to first understand that how many are selected if it has checkbox. Okay, let me first show you select by index. Let's say I want to select which is in index 1. Okay, it starts with 1 or 0, we will understand. And then I think let me select index 2. Everything looks good. Okay, let me close everything, and then let's run the code. There are different type of drop downs we're going to discuss. This is a static drop down. Okay, this is a very straightforward drop down, but now with an HTML getting advanced, you will see a lot of different type of drop downs. Some drop downs will be kind of having a scroll buttons, where it's gonna load the moment you scroll down, right? It will load more and more options. The moment you scroll down, it will load more options. So those are the different type of drop downs. We're gonna learn them in future, but this is the static drop down where you will have like male female option, or select the states. You have limited number of states. So those are the static drop. Now here you see interesting, we wanted to select which one, 2. So 0 1 2, right? So it selected this particular value. And did it select this one? No, it was already selected, right? So this one is also a drop down. Now here, using dot select by index, we selected the second value. Similarly, here you can do the changes. First you select this, and then the next option we'll explore is select by value. You can also do a select by value. So now what is the value you need to pass? You need to pass the value of that options. So let me inspect this element once again. Now that
A method to do by pattern, like let's say you don't know what's in the drop down.
Yeah. So in that case, you use index, or if index is also not working for you, you can use dot value. And if dot value is also not working for you, then there is one more.
If they're grouped like by patterns, and you want to
Yes. We can write the patterns as well. Correct. Yeah. And then there is also called as select by visible text, right? So let's explore all of them now. Yeah, so this is the value. Now what is the value of this and what is the visible text? So I'm saying there are two different methods, right? Select by value and select by visible text. So that you need to understand. This is also an interview question. Sometimes they'll give you this kind of tags and they'll ask you by I want to select this particular option, let's say Salesforce services. By value, what will be you will provide, and by visible text, what you will provide. Now here we need to understand that option is a tag, value is an attribute, right? And its value is this Salesforce services. Okay, attribute equal to, and in double quotes you will have value, right? So basically this is the attribute, like you have name equal to, ID equal to, right? So this is an attribute and this is the value. So don't get confused with this. This is the visible text, what you are seeing on the page, right? If you see this services space success space services, this is the visible text you see, right? Which is in between the tags. If you see option tag, in between tags, whatever you see is the visible text. So enterprise social network is the visible text, whereas the value is chatter, right? So let me show you these two different methods. So here I'm gonna pass select by value is chatter, right? Whereas select by visible text, when it comes select by visible text, I'm gonna pass chatter or I'm gonna pass enterprise social network. I'm gonna pass enterprise social network, right? So this is what I'll pass, enterprise social network, right? Okay, so let's run this and let's check. That is very important to understand dot value and dot visible text. So now we are selecting three different values in the drop down. So you'll have to observe that execution closely because it's gonna change it quickly. Oh, sorry. Okay, so it's loading the page. Okay, now you see quickly it selected all three options for you, right? It's selected. If you want a little bit gap in between them, what you will do? So there is a thread called sleep. I don't know. We're gonna cover that implicit wait and explicit wait in our next chapter, right? To understand the different type of wait mechanism we use in Selenium. But yes, if you want a wait in between or just want to see the execution or want to capture the screenshots in between, then you can use the thread.sleep. Though I'll never recommend using an implicit wait. I have written a very fantastic Quora article for this. It is very well written. So I would prefer you to just read that once so that tomorrow or day after tomorrow when we talk about wait, you will understand what I'm referring to. Okay. Yeah, on Quora. I'll forward you the link. Yeah. Okay, so till this we are good, right? Let me jump back to my presentation. So this is what I was referring to, that in order to use the select class methods for dropdown, we should have a select tag inside, and then inside it you have an option tag, right? So if let's say the value is not constant, so for example this value you are saying it may change, right? Yeah. So in that case what I will do, let's see if dot star works. Okay, so I'm just giving a try if this works, right? Because if I want to select this enterprise social network, and by with that name there is only one drop down, right? I can try using the regular expression, or let's say customer. So by customer also I can see there is only one. By cloud also there is only one. Success is also one. Business is also one. So let me try this. Visible text business. Copy. Go here and
Does that work somewhere else?
no, I think there is only one in the drop down.
Oh,
Yeah, if there are more than one, then probably we'll have to see what error it shows, you know. But in this case, let's see if this works. Let me run this quickly. Okay, so you can see, but I think yeah, you can see there is an error here. So which means that particular method expects to provide a exact value, right? This regular expression is not working. I'll tell you how do we handle those scenarios. Okay, we will learn them. First we'll try to read these options basically, and in a substring we will check, and then if it's possible then only we'll pass. So we'll have to do some tricks there, but directly you can't do like this, because that method select by visible text is expecting you to provide the exact visible text. So what it will try to do is it will try to see if this visible text is available, like dot star, you know.
oh,
So exactly, so it will try to check that whatever visible text we are talking about, is that available. It is not understanding that you are trying to give the, so here it is trying to do like this. See, I'll show you. So this is what it is trying to search, and if that's the case, see, right, and if this is the case, it will select, but it is not.
that's not working.
Yeah, that's not our intention. So these are the small differences we need to understand. So which means select by physical text is not is not accepting your regular expressions, right? A very good question, and very good interview question also. Cool. So how do we handle this? Yes, we'll cover that. We will we will see that. Now I want you to do most practice on how we can do multiple select, right? This is also an important thing. So what happens, sometimes you can do multiple select in a drop down. So this is only single select, but sometimes we'll have multiple checkboxes, right? You can use multiple selects, where, or you can do just click on shift and then you can select all the drop downs, right? So if that's the case, then how do we handle it? So first of all, you need to check, is multiple. So is multiple is the method which will help you to understand whether that drop down is accepting the multiple inputs or not. So let me show you in our example. So here what I'll do, I'll select deselect dot is, the moment I type is multiple is the method. This method will return a boolean, right? So here I'll say boolean, or directly what we can say print. You can directly print, because it's gonna give you either true or false, right? So this particular method, I'll put it here and I'll say, is this drop down accepting multiple select, then answer will be, I'll append this with this drop down dot is multiple. So output of this is either true or false, and that will come to know. So basically, technically, where it locates or where it looks for, let me show you back. So this particular drop down, if you right click and do an inspect path, on the select element, this property will be defined. If you see on this select element right now, all other ID, name, and all other attribute values are defined, but whether it accepts multiple or not is not defined, right? Generally you will get that here itself, right? So let me run it and show you. In our case, the example which we are seeing right now, definitely it's going to give you false, because it is not accepting the multiple returns, right? Multiple select. See this, right? So it is saying, is this drop down accepting multiple select? Say no, which false, and that is the reason you will not able to select multiple things. So what I mean to say, multiple things. So let's say if this is accepting multiple inputs, let's assume, right? Whatever we are doing here, one after another, the moment I try to select the next value, the first one will not get deselected automatically. You know, if this is multiple select is true, then whatever I'm doing here will not be correct for my system test, let's say, because if I want to select only one value at once, then first I need to check whether it drop down is accepting multiple input, and if that's the case, then I can't do like this, because in this case it will select both of those values one after another. And if I do like this, it will select everything. If first I'll select index 1, second I'll select index 2, and select the third. So if this is a multiple, if it is accepting, then it will select all the three drop down values one after another, right? Let me show you an example. If I get an example for you, multiple, yeah. Let's try this example. Yeah. So now here you see, if I clicked on shift, I can select multiple, right? So which means this particular, even though this doesn't look like a drop down to you, it is still a select tag. Okay. And now let me refresh this. Now here, if you see, this is the select tag, right? And it has an option which we discussed, but if you carefully observe, it has a multiple attribute in that select tag, which indicates that this is the multiple. Let me load this URL, and then we'll try to do some changes here. So here what I'll do is changing URL for multiple select driver dot get, right? And then give this URL. And once I'm on this URL, what I'm going to do here is, so basically again I'll have to create another element. I can't use this because this drop down element contains a value for another drop down from a previous website. Either I can override it or I can replace it. You're getting my point? So which means, if just to give you an example, if I copy this and if I paste it here, it's going to throw me an error because we have already defined it. So here what I'm going to do here is I'm just overriding it. Okay. See, initially we loaded that element with a drop down from another website. Now I'm reusing it because I'm assuming that I don't need to use that further down in my code, so I can reuse it. But here I need to do some changes. What I changes, I will try to identify by what. Here I will try to identify this select with the help of ID. ID is cars, right? Oh no, sorry, I'll have to do an inspect path here. Yeah, of course, that's the HTML it is showing. So I don't need to do inspect path. You're getting my point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go here. Now here, instead of by.name, I'll simply use, or I can use by.name and then just give a name is also same actually. It has a name and ID, both are same, right? So it has a name attribute and ID, both are same. So that's why we are identifying with the help of name. Now here, I'm gonna do the same thing. Copy this. Again, it will throw me an error because again, I don't need to instantiate the same element, right? Because we already did it in line number 15. So I no need to do this. I can simply override it. Here I'm again saying, oh, do one thing. Now you reload this drop down object with a new element, because now this element has been updated, right? This element is updated. So that's why we need to also update the drop down. And now we update it with the drop down. Now, what is the next thing we'll do? We'll again do the same thing, copy paste. Now we will check. So in this example, the reason I'm not commenting above code is we'll understand the flow, right? You no need to always think about starting from the start, like initiate an object all the time. Now here, is this dropdown accepting multiple select on new web page? Just to give you a difference in the console. And then, okay, here it will check is multiple. We are expecting this, it will return true, right? And now here we can see the difference. So what we'll do here is we'll try to select multiple. So drop down dot select by index. So let's say I'm trying to select the 0th indexed, right? And then drop down dot select by index again 1, drop down dot select by index, and let's say 2. So we are trying to say, oh, I want to select 3 values, right? Okay, so let's run this code. Let me close all this. Cool. Now first it will go to our regular website, Salesforce, where it has a static drop down, which doesn't allow you to do a multiple select, right? I'm gonna just keep it. Yes, that will give you a false. Yeah, see, quickly it loaded the new one, right? And there is an issue. Let's see what's the issue. It didn't work, right? Okay, let's see what's the exception. No such element found, which means it is not able to find with this particular name equal to cars. So which means whatever we are trying to provide it, it's not working. So let's fix it. Go back. Let's try to right click, do inspect element. I was hoping it will work. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, ID is correct. Name cars is correct. So let me try with ID, right? Let's try. Or the best thing is, oh sorry. Yeah, so let's we are already on the Chrome, so that's a good news. Let's go to Chrome. Let's go to element. Let's go to Control F, right? And try to / and what is the tag? Select, right? And it says, oh, it has only one, so there is no need to worry. So that's why even if I give star, it should be fine. Okay, and in between @ID equal to in single quote, I'll give a value and then close this. Oh, it's highlighting it correctly, which means it's correct. Whatever XPath we are giving, it looks like it's correct. So let me copy this. I don't know why it didn't work, but let dot XPath and then XPath. This is the XPath we wanna give. Okay. Okay. So now I wanna ask you. So when we were running it next time, what's happening here is driver dot. Shall I use close or quit? If I use quit here, let's see what happens. Okay.
So you're using both for both Firefox, right?
Yeah, I'm using a Firefox.
For both?
Just something wrong. What was that? No such element found. It is not. Oh, okay. There is no session ID, so basically it didn't even launch anything and it's trying to close. Oh no, this is not something I wanted to show. Yeah, I wanted to basically try to show you that I want to clear all the browsers before I start a new session. But then, yeah, that's not something which we can do because it didn't even initiated any session and it's trying to quit. So that's why it's throwing an error, you know. Okay, so in this example, it will try to select all the three things, quickly go to a next website, and again we get an error. I don't know why it's throwing an error. Probably that's not correct way on that website. Is it changing every time? I don't know. Yeah, this is not working. Anyway, I'll try to, because anyway it is showing false. Oh no, that's the first one. Yeah, that's the first one. Here it's not identifying, even though we checked it on the Chrome. Looks like on a Chrome it's working. Maybe that's a development website, so probably they are changing it when we are doing like this. Doesn't look like though, but when I do an inspect. Anyway, so I'll try to find what's the problem in this. Okay, is this iframe? Okay, yeah. So okay, so this is a separate topic I wanted to discuss. We need to understand how to handle iframes. Okay, iframe is a separate and a exclusive topic to to understand. So currently we are not yet there. So this entire web page, whatever you see, is embedded. Basically, this is a mini HTML inside an HTML. So bigger HTML has a body and head. Inside that, generally we use an iframe when we want to embed a small HTML document, right? So if you see inside this iframe, you have its own document. It has its own HTML body and head, right? So iframe is little different to handle. We'll learn that in a future session, and that is the reason we are getting this error, that it is not able to identify, because what generally it's doing is it's trying to identify on this outer HTML, basically the parent HTML, and there it is not able to identify with the help of ID which we are providing, and that is the reason it is failing. But yeah, the main purpose to show you this is there will be certain drop downs which will allow you to select multiple inputs at once, and this is how you will handle them. First you need to check whether is multiple, right? So generally, ideally, this is how you will write a code. You will write an if condition, and you will say if, and you straight away will include is multiple like this here inside this, because the output of drop down is multiple is either true or false, right? And if it is true, then you will straight away go and select like this, right? Or you will say else, you will simply print saying like this, yeah, drop down is not multi-select, right? Is not multi-select, select, hence not able to select multiple times or whatever, right? So yeah, in automation, this is how you will probably first do a check, and if it's allowing you, then you will go ahead and check. Or in else, if you have certain things to do, probably you just want to select one, so you'll say, okay, it is not allowing me to select multiple, so let me select only once. So then you will say, okay, only select once, and then just print a message, right? So this is how you will handle the static dropdown. There are some more dropdowns which you're gonna explore when we go ahead. I can't cover each and every type, like I said, right? I'll try to give you maximum examples possible, but once you understand how to handle them, I think when you do more and more practice, you'll explore them. Okay. Okay, then let me stop.